Hey everyone, it's Mari. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I have a 12 by 12 scrapbooking process to show you today. And I'm going to be using this sketch from scrappysketches.blogspot.co.uk that I found on Pinterest. I really love it. And I was looking on there for a 2-photo sketch and just for some inspiration because I've been struggling lately with my mojo, and that was just going to help me out. Now, another thing that really helped me out was the gorgeous Brooke kit from Felicity Jane. I did not get the entire kit because it was sold out, but I did get some bits and pieces, and I'm just showing you here the pieces that I cut out on my silhouette. So these partial circles and the scallop that were all cut with, well, 2 of them from some pattern paper from that Brooke collection, and then one from just a piece of textured cardstock. So you can see all I have left of that really beautiful watercolory paper are these little bits, and then that scallop I cut from this kind of raindrop pattern paper. It's so pretty. I love that teal color. And you can just see the back there was a diagonal black stripe. And I'm going to use as my base this gorgeous ledger paper, which is also from the Brooke collection. So gorgeous. I love a ledger paper anyways, and it just works so well for this background. It's a pure snow white and I really like it. It's got some pinks and that green on it again, and or aqua. Love it. So you're just going to see me here just to start off with. I'm going to adhere these 3 cut file pieces, these die cuts together, and then I'm going to start to build my layout from there. So this layout comes together relatively quickly, and I would attribute that largely to the sketch. And I'm grateful always when I find a sketch that's inspiring to me, especially when I'm struggling. I haven't been feeling good lately. I've been, I think, fighting a bit of a bug, and just, have been coming home from work and just haven't really been feeling very creative lately. So I don't know about you guys if you ever kind of get into one of those little funks, but it's definitely happened to me lately. And so I was really grateful to find this sketch. So I'm just adhering those pieces together. Now at this point, I'm thinking I want to take those large die cut pieces, and I want to pop them up to create a bit of dimension on this ledger paper. So I'm just going to take some foam, some craft foam that has some adhesive on it, and pop that up. Now you can also see that I've taken just some embroidery floss, and I have done some stitching around the edge of that circle, and I like how that looks. I just did that in white, and it just adds a little bit of nice texture and extra interest to that die cut piece. Now here you can see I'm taking that white craft foam. This is just some Walmart craft foam it has some adhesive on the back. I'm going to peel that adhesive off, or that release paper off the back, and adhere that down. And then I'll just use a little bit of liquid adhesive on top of that craft foam to adhere it down to my ledger paper in that way, so that it's nice and stuck to my background and it won't move. So that's a great base, and I'm going to get started from there on creating the rest of the layout. So I'm going to just take my 2 photos. These are kind of, they're not quite 4x3, they're a little bit smaller than that. And I'm going to just adhere these down just as the sketch suggested, in just kind of like they're not completely straight or linear with each other, they're just slightly offset. And that top photo being the dominant photo, the picture of Bailey and I, is going to be just placed a little bit higher than the others. So now you can see on the sketch, the suggestion is to put some floral pieces underneath. Now, this is one of the few Felicity Jane kits that did not come with floral pieces. Most of the die cut pieces in this kit are clouds and hearts and stars, and those didn't really fit with what I wanted to do. I really love the idea of florals. So what I did was I went into my stash and I pulled out a bunch of dies, and these things I usually buy to do some card making projects with, but they definitely work for scrapbooking as well. And so I die cut a whole bunch of little floral pieces from the pattern paper from Brooke, and I just I'm going to create some little DIY floral pieces here and embellishments for my layout. So I really like how these turned out, and you can see that watercolory paper that's on my circle there. I use that for a lot of these little die cut pieces. So now I'm just going to take some adhesives, just some glue dots and just my liquid adhesive, and put these little floral pieces together. And I'm going to show you how I did some of this, and then I'm going to just, cut out some of this because it's just the same thing over and over again. And I will just show you here this little bit of this process. Now, most of the dies that I used for this are Sizzix dies. One of the sets is a Tim Holtz set, and I picked that up. I purchased that from Scrapbook Nerd Shop. And then the other set was a Sizzix set that I think was kind of like a spring theme, and that's where the butterflies came from that I'm going to be using on this layout as well. So I'm going to kind of put some butterflies and florals together and to create kind of a springy theme, because the photographs that I'm documenting with here are from Mother's Day. Now, what Bailey did was she surprised me, and we went to a pop-up shop in the mall in Saskatoon. The pop-up shop was a Twig and Bloom pop-up, and they are just a really beautiful, they create beautiful florals in Saskatoon. It's a floral shop, and I believe the lady's name was Joanne that runs Twig and Bloom, and she did a fantastic job of this little, I guess it was kind of like a little workshop basically. And we went there, I think there were 12 of us all together. We sat in tables that were set up in a square, and the one photograph on the right is just showing how the table was set up. It was so pretty, and they had just some really nice foods and food and drink for us, and then we created these beautiful floral arrangements. So now you can see the little butterflies. What I did with the butterflies was I die cut them out of the pattern paper, and then I also die cut a piece of vellum to overlay over top. And two of the pieces of vellum I ran through my Big Shot with a little embossing folder to create some little polka dots on top for some texture. And then the other butterfly I didn't do that with because there was actually little bits and intricate detail in the die, so I didn't feel like I had to add that embossing detail. I'm just using a little bit of Plus vellum adhesive here, and that just, it's so that you can't see the adhesive through the vellum, it doesn't show. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of thread to the center of each of those butterflies. So all I'm going to do is just take some plain white thread and wind it around the center of the butterfly kind of loosely. And then I'm going to add a little gem on top of each of those. I just like how that finishes it off. The little gems I'm adding are from Studio Katia, and they're really pretty. I love them. I think that they're just gorgeous. And those are over in the shop at Scrapbook Nerd as well. If you just do a search in their shop for Studio Katia, it'll bring up all the sequins and everything that they have in the shop from that company. So I'm just adding a little glue dot to the back of the butterfly first. And then when I start the thread in the back, it just sticks to that glue dot and it won't move then. And then I just loosely wound that around, and then I added the little gem to the top. And I'm going to, and there's those little gems, I'm going to actually add another little glue dot to the back of each of the butterflies to adhere them to the layout. So you can see that there's some little foliage pieces of die cuts in with the floral pieces as well, and just to kind of balance it off. Now this Brooke collection also came with a little, I think it's about 2 inches by 2 inches pad of vellum, which is brilliant. And that little pad of vellum sheets complement the colors and the pattern papers exactly. So they're really the same patterns that are in some of the pattern papers, plus some extras, and the same color family as the rest of the collection. And these are the little puffy alphas that were part of that collection as well. So the title is going to be #blooms. And then I'm going to create another little cluster up to the top with one of the die cuts from Brooke, and then some more of the die cuts that I cut with my little dies. So while I was creating this, I was watching a replay of the royal wedding, which was this weekend. I don't know how many of you guys watched that. I almost feel like I should be doing this voiceover with a British accent because I actually watched a one of the redo or the video that I watched on YouTube was, I think it was from the BBC or something. Like it was the commentators were British, which I had to do that, right? Because, well, it's a British event, people. So I even though he's marrying an American, I wanted to watch it with the British commentators. So I loved that. It was so cool. The wedding was beautiful. I loved her dress. And for those of you who follow me here on YouTube, you know my daughter's getting married soon. And it was just fun to, Bailey and I were kind of messaging each other back and forth like, oh my gosh, like that floral arch, I wish, right? And so, yeah, it was just lots of fun to watch and ooh and ah over how beautiful Megan looked and so on, all the little beautiful touches to the wedding. So what I'm going to do up in that cluster at the top, so I'm going to add a little rubber embellishment piece as well. That was from my Felicity Jane stash. And it just says the word love up there. I like the addition of some black. I also added a couple of pops of black. Some of the little puffy hearts have black polka dots on them, which are adorable. And I think I also maybe added a little vellum piece that has black polka dots on it too. Finishing off with some gold color shine here just to add a little pop of gold. And I just did my journaling on my computer. I cut those into strips. I actually used a really small font. I think it's like size 8 or something like that in Word, just because I knew that I had a really small area there to do my journaling. So I'm just journaling about how Bailey surprised me with this really fun event on Mother's Day. We had so much fun. We had such a good time. I'm so grateful for her. She's just so good to me. Oh, I love her. Okay, enough of that mushy stuff. Anyways, okay. So the layout is finishing up with a few of these puffy hearts, and that's going to be about it today. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it inspired you a little bit to do something crafty today. Get a layout done. Use a scrap sketch if you need to be inspired. If you ever get into a funk or your mojo is lacking, I find that it always helps me. Sometimes a mood board, sometimes a sketch, whatever it takes. I'm just showing you on the back. I'm going to add a little bit of extra journaling back there, a little more personal journaling for Bailey to find someday. Anyways, guys, that's about it for me. And thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you another time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.